7 things you didn't know were illegal, some of which might leave you feeling quite surprised. So welcome back, I'm the Black Belt Barrister, helping you to understand law. So the first up on my list is we have grey squirrels. Believe it or not, there are several legal instruments with regard to grey squirrels, including the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 as it stands amended, the Wild Animals Protection Act of 1996, and the Destructive Imported Animals Act of 1932. Each of these respectively mean that it's illegal to release or to allow to escape to the wild any captive grey squirrel. However, it is also illegal to subject them to willful acts of cruelty and abuse, which I'm sure you're pleased to hear. But don't think of owning one as a pet, because it is also an offence to keep a grey squirrel in captivity, unless you have a licence. Next on my list is flying a kite. Believe it or not, civil aviation legislation is applicable to the flying of a kite, and it's contained within the Air Navigation Order regulations known as CAP 393. Among these rules, a kite cannot be flown at a height of more than 60 metres above ground level, and there are various other rules about the visibility of kites during the day and at night where permission has been granted to exceed 60 metres. Now, whilst it might seem like a simple childhood activity, this is because they can have serious impacts on airports, animals, nearby roads and vehicles, and a whole host of other situations where if the kite were to escape or become entangled in something else, it could cause serious danger. Next, if you're in your car on a two-way street and you're approaching a crossing, but there's already a vehicle waiting at that crossing, you must not pass that vehicle if it is stationary, because it may have stopped to allow pedestrians to cross the road, and this is a must not rule in the Highway Code under Rule 191. Next is if you drive through a mobile speed gun area and you decide to warn another oncoming vehicle by flashing your headlights that there is a speed trap here, this is actually an offence itself. Although in some cases there is a technicality that it is necessary to prove in those cases that the person warned was already speeding, because the police cannot have been obstructed in their duty, and therefore there cannot have been any act of obstructing the police, which is the ultimate offence. This was decided in a case in 2005. But on the subject of obstructing the police, it is also illegal to tip someone off that the police are investigating them for an ongoing crime. If the police are carrying out live investigations into somebody because of something they are doing on an ongoing basis, and you tip them off, this can amount to obstructing the police in the execution of their duty, and that was decided in a case called Green and Moore in 1982. Similarly, if you are caught lying to the police, if the police ask you questions and you provide a false answer, although there isn't usually an obligation upon you to speak to the police in the first place, but if you do speak to the police, then leaving something out of key value might amount to obstructing the police, whereas lying to the police would almost always amount to obstructing the police in the execution of their duty and amounts to an offence by itself. Each of these might also amount to a separate offence of obstructing the course of natural justice. I've spoken about this before, where a spouse or family member or even a friend is tempted to take the points for speeding on their licence so that they don't clock up to 12 points and get a mandatory ban. But as I've said in those videos and in real cases that we've dealt with, people have been taken to the Crown Court and prosecuted for the very serious offence of obstructing the course of justice, because essentially they've lied to the police by saying that it was them that was speeding and not their spouse. So please do not, under any circumstances, be tempted to say that it was you that committed this offence, even for something like speeding. If you say it was you, but it wasn't you, and they can prove it, then they might be able to prove a charge against you for obstructing the natural course of justice. Finally, helping someone to get away whilst the police are trying to arrest them will also amount to obstructing the police in the execution of their duty, so be careful for this one. I hope you found that interesting. Please remember to subscribe and like the video, share it with someone you think might also like this video, and thanks for watching.